TPCSI fans, you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all your sports books and track all your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You could also sign up for sports books and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as it's the best account on the platform. Head to App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire and download the app.
Jared, hey, we're gonna need you to tone it down with the Summer Friday thing, okay?
What are you talking about?
Well, for one, it's not summer anymore.
Oh, really?
Coconut. Also, who is this?
I'm the caddy.
Oh, he's my intern.
Sorry, intern. I'm his intern.
Yeah, he's doing a great job.
No golfing in the office, okay? Summer Fridays are over. You can keep the Hawaiian shirt, but the rest of this stuff, all right? Are you grilling?
Oh, yeah. Did you want a burger or a hot dog?
No, grilling in the office.
It's a good point. We should take this outside.
No, that don't. You put that right back down.
Yo, it's all in the hips.
Oh, dude, come on, we gotta go. Let's go.
Excuse me, Mr. DJ.
Hey, check this out. We got a great show coming your way.
From the ECSI Sports Studios, the #1 sports information program in America, the Breakfast Bankroll, with your host, the sports broker, Jeff Dawson.
Good morning, sports fans from all around the globe. I am the host. Let me see if I can do a little better than that. There we go. East Coast sports investors. It's the Breakfast Bankroll. It's Tuesday, and we got a lot to talk about. Big day in the office here. Of course, big day for our country. First and foremost, a shout out to our proud sponsor and partnerships. It's WagerWire. Download the app at Google Play, wherever you download the apps. It's free. Zach, Travis, Amber, Holly, Jay Berry. The team is second to none. Get on board now before you're left at the station. Viva Tequila Seltzer. CT Bets. Team family, second to none. The East Coast is cuckoo for coconut. Go try one. And of course, Terry Smith, Atlanta Steaks and Seafood. Head on over to Facebook. Download the app. Introduce yourself. Tell them JD from ECSI sent you. Then go to the website, Atlanta Steaks and Seafood. Any order placed this week over $150, use the promo code ECSI and get a free 2-pound bag of shrimp. The big ones, already deveined. Everything just need to be cooked up, sauteed. Shrimp and scampi, surf and turf, whatever you want to go do. Place an order today. You could be grilling for Thursday night football. As I said, big day for the country. And you know what? This is not a political place. I don't talk politics. I don't talk church. A lot of things we don't talk about. But what I do want to say is this. If you don't vote, don't bitch. And I know social media is going to blow this thing up like a wood tick. I don't know who's going to win. I do know this. At 8 o'clock or when the polls close, we might not know for days, weeks, maybe even months who the hell our president is going to be come January and inauguration, I think January 20th. So again, do your civic duty. Get out. Go vote. I don't need to know who you voted for, who you didn't. It's your privacy. But again, if you don't vote, you can't bitch, and it's that simple. So, big show today. Andrew McInnis at McInnis Picks at Wager Talk is here as we speak, and then Andy Powers, the voice of BC hockey, is going to talk some Hockey East. They were at St. Cloud for the weekend, and I'm going to talk about the Bruins as well as how hot is Jim Montgomery's seat as the Bruins staved off, or I should say Montgomery staved off, potential firing the last 2 games. But without further ado, let me see if I can play producer here. Let's bring him in, Mr. Andrew McInnis. What's up, Andrew?
Mr. Dawson, Mr. Producer, how are you?
Hey, jack of all trades, masters of none. Sitting on the couch last night, the family's out cold, Fenway's out cold. I'm watching a pretty decent football game, and I'm watching this guy called Baker Mayfield, resurrect his career in the last couple of years. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin. It's nice. Tom Brady had a good time throwing to them. Gets a nice contract, well deserved, of course. Now comes into Kansas City, and it's almost like that John Travolta or Will Smith whatever they call it, looking in the room, and it's like, holy shit, I got Kate Otten and a cloud of dust here. Oh, they try to run the wishbone, of course. My locals on Sunday, Drake May, last play of the game, ran around for 13 seconds, got a touchdown, turned right away, went to the sidelines, and I said to myself, probably out of gas, kick the extra point, let's get some more reps for the kid. I got that. But I was kind of surprised, and Baker, final touchdown, turned right away. Not even hey, go coach, do. Thoughts on the final? We're not going to play Tuesday morning quarterback here, but you don't want to go to a coin toss, and even Baker, once the coin toss happened, he's like, fuck, good game.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing is about this Kansas City Chiefs team is the way they've evolved over the years, Jeff, that I'm really impressed with, right? Is like finding ways to, like, put it this way, this I don't want this to get clipped or get put the wrong way, but I'm going to say this. If how the Kansas City Chiefs play right now was put on any other uniform, any other players, nobody would be that impressed with it. And I know that sounds crazy. The third down conversions, it's excellent. Some of the plays they make, it's great. That play in triple coverage, DeAndre Hopkins, great catch. Are they really doing anything special, this Chiefs team? I don't think they are. As far as individual players, they're a collective, they're a team. They do all the right things. And so when you watch them drive in overtime to win that game, was there a highlight reel play that won the game? Was there a highlight catch, a highlight run? They marched the field. They drove the field. And that's what makes this team great right now. No, they don't have a Tyreek Hill of years ago where they can catch a random 70-yard ball like it's nobody's business. Xavier Worthy almost caught a pretty long one, but there really weren't any highlights in that game last night. And it was a really entertaining game. But why am I saying this, Jeff? Because how dangerous is it that the toughest team left on the schedule is like one game against the Bills for this Chiefs team, and they're undefeated. They're covering numbers ATS. They're covering numbers straight up. Last night's number was a little bit big ATS, so didn't get there with that one. But yeah, I mean, you mentioned the 2-point convert attempt. I think that anytime you can go ahead and get a chance to beat a Chiefs team that's won the Super Bowl as many times as they have in past years, you got to try and do it. You mentioned the fatigue, and I respect that because they did work their asses off to get down there. I say you draw some for the hot hand, give the ball to Kate Otten and see if he can catch it. Because at this point, you go to overtime. I'm not sure if you have the exact numbers in front of you, Jeff, but I saw something that posted the record of Mahomes and the Chiefs when they go to overtime. I think like all but one time recently, they've won the coin toss. Like They're like 6-1 to the the coin toss, and the time that they didn't was in the big game last year, and they still end up winning the game. But nobody wants to have those loser points, right? You don't want to lose the game and then be like, oh, well, you could have gone to overtime. It's tough, and it's all on ownership too and coaching.
I witnessed this out of my backyard. I witnessed the second decade of Tom and Bill. I witnessed no Randy Moss, and they're very comparable, meaning Gronk equals Kels. He had Edelman, but there was no flashy Tyreek Hills. There was no Xavier Worthies. There was nothing. There was Tom, Bill, Gronk, and Julian, and a good defense. And you're witnessing this now with Patrick Mahomes, I think at the age of 28, going for a three-peat. And 8-0. And as you just said, they really haven't hit offensively on all cylinders. Their defense has been very good for the whole year. Pacheco will be back around week 12 or 13. No need to rush him back. Hollywood Brown maybe for the playoffs. Rashee Rice gone for the season. In comes D-Hop. 9 targets, 8 receptions. It's just the calm, cool collectedness, the holding the hand like this. Never phase, never rub. Now everyone's got the Kermit and the Kermit frog in your throat when he went and threw that touchdown to Pirine, and he came down on his knee. The whole season flashes. I'm like, okay, who can we get odds on now in the AFC? But watch it on Sunday. I'm going to say something. When I always say this way, when I was at the Super Bowl Radio Row interviewing the Philly Godfather, he talked about you can't put a number or quantify greatness. And he talked about Tom Brady, Michael Jordan, Tiger Woods, and Mayweather. And of course, now we're talking about Patrick Mahomes. I will tell you right now, pound for pound, the Lions and the Ravens are just as good, if not better, than the Chiefs right now.
And it will all be about, like you said, the greatness level, the clutch level, right? The how do the Lions look this year in the playoffs? Can the Ravens, pass that part that they've been struggling to get past? That's what it all comes down to. And you're right, because you know what? It reminds me of this. Teams that are so good, and because college basketball started yesterday, teams that are so good all year, and yet they go into March Madness. They make it to the round of 32 and they just can't hit a free throw. All season they could hit free throws, but you can't hit one when the game matters the most. Can the Lions get to the postseason? One thing the Chiefs have that you mentioned, Jeff, poise. They're calm, collected. They do not get worried about anything. And for the record, for what it's worth, is I'm not crapping on them when I'm saying it's not an exciting offense by any means. It's more so that when you're watching them, it's very frustrating for defenses because they're not doing anything special. And then a team, from a sports betting perspective too, if you're betting against a team that always converts on third down, it can be really, really frustrating because, you think, okay, third and long, third and 7, third and 8, and Mahomes continues to get the job done. So it's really impressive. And, from prop perspectives at this point, you can actually make money with a lot of unders on the Chiefs, which is funny to say. Look at the record they have and tell me who's flying over their numbers every week on this Chiefs team. It's not a lot of guys because they're really spreading things around.
And the fact Kels had is, I think, his biggest day receptions, D-Hop, and then again Kareem Hunt. But they're so methodical. They're how do you beat Patrick Mahomes back in the day? They were that quick scoring offense. How do you beat him? Well, you play keep away. What's your best defense? Well, it's keeping the offense of the Kansas City Chiefs off the field. And this year they're just doing separate. They're doing the exact opposite. We'll have 8, 9, 10, 15 play drives. We don't care. We don't need to score quickly because we got a defense that is just getting rested and stronger. And if you look at Patrick Mahomes' first drives, he's usually 8 for 9 and 7 different people caught the ball. So again, hail to the Chiefs. Great win, great effort by the Bucks. Shout out to Dr. Lance and his Bucks. We were talking early this morning about that. Yeah, we would have went for 2 as well. But Andrew, I know you have another show coming up here. We only have you for a short time. Huge slate in hockey. I did preface this show is how hot is Jim Montgomery's seat? First 10 days into the season, he gets into a battle with Marchand over the weekend or last week. Benches Pasternak for the third period. You usually don't win. It's almost like Montgomery's forcing his hand out. You know, they get shut out at home against the Flyers. They go to Philadelphia and win, and then they have another win. How hot is Montgomery's seat?
Well, I'll say this. I think that move, that's not a move for the team. That's a move for the management to see. Because hidden behind that move as far as benching Pasternak is
as Andrew left the building. Let's see.
I'm here with no background, but I'll pick up right where I left off. I think that move of benching Pasternak is as far as the decision that they make to keep Montgomery, Jeff, because it shows how much he's trying different things. He's not just juggling the lineups. He's not just changing how he talks to the team. He's making an action. And that's the thing is that sometimes if you bench a third or fourth liner, what does that do for you? Doesn't do anything. You know, who are you sending the message to if you're benching a third or fourth liner? You're not sending a message to anybody. But from where I'm standing, I think that these next few games, the effort that they can get out of the Boston Bruins is going to be really important because let's be honest, and I'm sure you and I would both agree, the 2 wins that they had over the weekend, and I was listening to a podcast with Pierre McGuire. He said, let's slow the roll here. Those aren't 2 wins that are that impressive. What is impressive is this shutout that they got, right? Getting the shutouts is really important. I think that he's got probably until the end of the month, I will say, because that's going to
having a tough time crossing the border with the internet today. We'll see if we can get back here. Let's try it again. I got you.
You got me? Okay. Yeah, so I'm giving him some time. I'm giving him some time because I think he's doing everything he really can right now at this point because I truly believe, and I said this last Tuesday to you, that if they let Montgomery go, it looks worse on the management than it does on Montgomery himself. Because I believe that if they fire him prematurely, they failed to give him the players that can get the job done. But if he can figure out a way, because they get those 2 shutouts in a row, right? Guess who's on deck tonight? The Maple Leafs. Guess who they've defeated 7 of the last 10 meetings overall? You know, the last meeting 4-3 overtime. Like, what was it? 3 Saturdays ago. When these teams met, Austin Matthews scores a late goal, and then all of a sudden he has a giveaway in overtime, and Marchand and Pasta score together. That's going to be a real interesting one to look at. And from my perspective, and don't get me wrong, I've made money on the Leafs so far this season. I've lost my Leafs so far this season. There's only one team I want tonight, and it's the Bruins.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 games on the frozen pond. I'm going to turn the ice over to you. You want to break down the game or two? You want to give some leans, some props, whatever, in the last 7, 8, 10 minutes here. The ice is yours, my friend.
Well, Jeff, I don't like to come on and talk up my Canadians too much, but I do. I think that this is going to be a spot against the Calgary Flames team that I think is a very inconsistent defensive team, and they kind of overachieved to start the season off, and then they're really calming down. If I told you right now, Jeff, that the Montreal Canadiens and the Toronto Maple Leafs had the same record in the last 7 games, would you believe me?
No.
Probably not, right? Because guess what? The Habs are losing games by giving up 5, 6, 7 goals, and so that means more to people than, of course, just a regular loss by any means. But these are the type of games that I think the Canadians get up for. Non-playoff teams. Let's not forget, they've been losing to some playoff teams lately, some non-playoff teams too, of course, but some non-playoff teams they can get the job done against. And this Flames team is fresh off a victory, a shutout victory. They're heading on the road for their East Coast trip. The good news is for the Habs, I think sometimes, they're getting the Flames in their first game. And bear with me when I say this. A lot of times this season so far, the Habs have had to deal with teams off a loss against the Maple Leafs. When the Kings got their asses kicked against the Maple Leafs, the next night, second half of a back-to-back, they played the Habs. How motivated do you think the Kings were to bounce back against the Habs versus if they were to have beat the Leafs, they kind of, come in a little more comfortable. So forget about any regulation puck line team totals. Straight up money line for the Habs. I do think this is a spot for them. And if they don't win this one, you can never just mute my mic whenever I talk about giving the Habs out on this show ever again here with you. Pittsburgh and the New York Islanders. This one's interesting. So the Islanders are 7-3 the last 10 meetings. The over is 7-1-2 the last 10 games. I'm going to go with the over here. And it's not often you're going to catch me, Jeff, taking an over involving the New York Islanders. And I would lean as well to the New York Islanders team total side if we're going to look at narrowing in on one team. Back-to-back defensive performances for this Pittsburgh Penguins team. I'm not buying it. I mean, look at who they've had these defensive performances against. My Montreal Canadiens, who have been suffering, and the Anaheim Ducks. I'm not buying that. This is a team that went over the total in pretty much every single game that they played this season. And all of a sudden, they give 2 unders to us? No. I'm not buying it one bit. I think we see goals in this one. You have an Islanders team that they got the job done for you and I on Friday night, and they go ahead on Sunday and give up a 5-piece in the New York battle against the Rangers. I think both teams get some goals. I think specifically the Islanders get some goals in this one. They're hurting right now. They've got some injuries, but I feel like this is a game both teams get involved in. For some reason, of course, they're division opponents. These teams don't like each other very much. There's always animosity when it comes to the Islanders and the Penguins. I'm hoping for some action between these teams tonight. And here's a little carrot here. The whole world's going to love the Avalanche tonight. Opener was minus 180. I'm seeing Circa, Pinnacle, both at minus 170 now. Went down from the opener at some spots. Arturi Lehkonen back, a few players back. They're getting healthier. They're playing well. Seattle's about as hungry as they've been. They haven't looked good since they beat the Canadiens 8-2 last Tuesday. They've looked atrocious in every game since then. I'm going to throw you off a little bit with this one. Give me the under 6.5, Avalanche and Kraken. You get a new player back like Arturi Lehkonen from for the Avalanche. Everyone's going to think the Avalanche are back. We're going to see some goals here. The Kraken need a defensive game, and I think they get it tonight out of their guys. Under 6.5. Last but not least, if there was ever a spot for us to look at a first period play, I think it might be first period money line for the San Jose Sharks. Don't look now. I'm taking the San Jose Sharks in the first period at plus money against the Columbus Blue Jackets. They're as healthy as they've been. Sal Brainey's back tonight. This is a team I think against a team like Columbus will be able to score some goals. Columbus has shocked the world. They've gotten off to a good start, Jeff, but let's not kid ourselves. Even against a team like San Jose, they're going to give up chances.
A couple minutes left here. CFL playoffs. How's that been going for you?
It was frustrating. I went 1-1, but the free play was the winner, so it sucks. The one I gave out was a loss. And one thing I've learned more about CFL, and a lot of that is to do with the guy Bobby, who I've been doing the podcast with, is coaching. And I have no regrets on my play with the Ottawa Red Blacks, even though I kind of crapped all over them all season, and then I gave them out as a play. It was coaching. A lot of weird coaching decisions were made. Jeff, they tried a squib kick, an onside kick before the half last week because they didn't want the risk of a kick return. Well, of course, Toronto recovers it. They make one or two passes with 26 seconds left, and they get a free 3 points. When you have a team plus 6.5 points, you can't afford your team to score and then give up a free couple points right before the whistle is blown in the final game. It's going to be a great playoffs. It's going to be a really good playoffs. And I'm going to tell you what, I think Montreal goes back to the Grey Cup, and I think Saskatchewan hangs around. If you can get 3.5 right now, 3.5, we gave out on this show Saskatchewan 11-1 weeks and weeks ago, 10-1, 11-1. If you can get 3.5, I think that Winnipeg Saskatchewan game, a rival game, comes right down to a field goal kick, comes right down to the wire. And the only worry I have for the Montreal Alouettes, Jeff, they haven't played meaningful football in what feels like 6-7 weeks. They haven't played a single game that's mattered. And if you think back to last time, you and I were discussing CFL last year, this time, Montreal was the team we got behind. Now Toronto is trying to right some wrongs. This is a revenge situation. But they open it up as practically pick 'em here. I think, to me, this is a spot where I want the Alouettes. I didn't like everything I saw last week. I think if they were playing anything close to a respectable coaching staff and team that didn't turn the ball over, it would be potentially a lot closer last week. So we're probably going to see money moving towards the Argos this week. I wouldn't talk anybody off the over. I wish CFL prop sites let you do this, because I think we're going to see some defensive plays. But I think the play I'd give out here would be Saskatchewan in the hook.
And I've done shows with you, I think at least 3 seasons now in the CFL. I've gotten a lot better. I can read the market. We're going for our 3rd straight Grey Cup winner outright, hopefully, probably, maybe. Who knows? But what I have noticed, Andrew, is, and I think it's just the history of them. I want to say this, and you would know a lot better than myself here. It always seems Toronto is almost, I don't want to call them the Chiefs of the NFL or the 49ers of the NFL, but it's almost like the books know the respect that they get in the market, and the numbers always give you one of those, because they don't want the quote-unquote sharps to come in the back door and just hammer them.
Yeah, and I figured you were going to say that. Like, so what does that tell you? What do you think the other side then, or are you think they're kind of just protecting themselves?
I think it's a little of both here, because, it seems, could we get a rematch? What's going on here? Montreal, Toronto, where are we going with this puzzle here? And I think you're kind of correct in, they are protecting themselves. But when you me and opening and trusting and respecting the opening number,
yes,
it does give me one of these, you know what I mean? It's hard.
It is. It really is. And I think a lot of that probably, Jeff, I think has to do with what we've seen from Montreal the last 4 or 5 weeks. If I were to give my reasoning for why we're seeing that a little bit, Toronto has had a lot more opportunities to showcase themselves recently in comparison to Montreal, who have just been. I mean, they pitched their tent, they lit a fire, they're singing Kumbaya. They were in first place for the last 10 weeks. You know, this team has been in first place and never had to look back. So it's going to be interesting to see how laser focused they can be. I think the Eastern Conference game could see fireworks, and the Western Conference game could be a little bit of a snooze fest, at least to start. Remember when you were calling Winnipeg lose a peg? A lot of that was to do to their defense. Their defense started playing better, and then all of a sudden things changed. We keep coming in and out, but we keep bouncing back.
You got to get up to greener pastures. It's Tuesday. Everyone knows they can follow you, obviously, on X or Twitter at McInnis Picks and your work at Wager Talk. What do you have to offer for everyone watching and listening in this standing room only room?
I want to mention before I head out, Jeff, I think that for some reason, I don't know why, but Austin Matthews has just been announced out for tonight. I'm seeing the number for Toronto, opener minus 150. That game is lighting up like it's Christmas morning, minus 120, 125 now on the Leafs. So if you didn't get the Bruins in now, don't think you missed out. I think it's that much better because the core four, if they're without that, I think the Leafs are in trouble. Their top player. I'm not 100%, but I think that Matthews might be out. But it's $5 Tuesday, just like it has been the past few weeks with the new special here at Wager Talk. So my favorite play, my best bet, it is a team total. I hope you like it when I send it over to you, Jeff. Tonight, it's 11 games tonight on tap in the NHL, and we got one play we're narrowing in on. Going to be a few more plays as well. And the Bruins might end up being a small client play. But thanks so much, as always, Jeff. I really do appreciate being here.
All right, Andrew, have a great day. We'll catch up throughout the week, and I will reciprocate as always, and we will end the week on your channel. How's that?
Thank you, sir. Have a great day.
You too. Andrew McInnis, go follow him at McInnis Picks on Wager Talk. Go check him out today, $5 Tuesday. He is one of the best in the business. Going to go to a couple quick commercials. When we come back, I'd like to plug him somewhere on the social media, but he's so big he doesn't need any social media. One of the voices of BC hockey, the one and only Andy Powers. We will be right back. TPCSI fans, you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all your sports books and track all your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You could also sign up for sports books and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as it's the best account on the platform. Head to App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire and download the app. Well, next guest, good friend and colleague. I have to thank, of course, the one and only Mr. Anthony Pepe, the Diehards radio. I'm the co-host. He's the host. We're looking to get back in our lane somewhere soon in Boston. Introducing me to Mr. Andy Powers. Hopefully he has thawed from his trip to St. Cloud over the weekend. We shall see. The one and only Mr. Andy Powers. What's
Hello,
up, Andy?
Jeff. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing good. Have you thawed from the weekend?
I'll tell you what, I love this global warming. We're in New England. It's 70 degrees today. I couldn't be a bigger fan. I'm going to start burning plastic in my backyard because I think we can crank it up. We'll play golf in New England through December. This will be great.
We had you on the show about 6 weeks ago, and it was the start of Hockey East. It was the start of the Boston College Eagles. You guys were heading out to Michigan State. A team that was number 1 in the Hockey East preseason, number 2 in the country. From where you started to what you saw in the weekend, how the Eagles playing?
I think they're tracking on. They're right where they need to be. I think that they opened with a split at Michigan State. A lot of people are like, oh wow, BC lost. Michigan State's one of the best teams in the country. So for BC to go on the road and get a split there is great. They're BC's the second ranked team in the country behind the Denver Pioneers. That was the NCAA final last year. Denver beat Boston College. I think those two teams are the best two teams in the country. It's a long slog to get back there, but Boston College, their freshmen have come in and played unbelievable. James Haggins, who's projected to be the number 1 pick, has been really good out of the gate. They've also had some other freshmen that have really complemented the team well, and they've got outstanding goaltender from Jacob Fowler, a Montreal Canadiens draft pick, who was had an unbelievable freshman year last year. So BC's right where they need to be, and they're heading into Hockey East play, their league play this weekend against the Maine Black Bears, and I think they're going to have a great season.
You know, it's almost impossible to duplicate last season. And I remember the build-up, and I remember Anthony with his big ticket pre-flop. I think it's 7 or 8 to 1. We were at the finals of the Bean Pot. It's so hard to duplicate. You guys were 60 minutes and a 2 to 1 favor. I think we closed at minus 220 to win that game. And you didn't rebuild, you reloaded. And I know you got the best goalie in the country. You got potentially the number 1 pick in the draft. How do you do it? How do you mold these guys? Do you use that last game as the momentum? Say, guys, we got to the Frozen Four. We got to the final game. We were 60 minutes away. We got outplayed. We lost. How do you motivate these kids, Andy?
Yeah, so first of all, Jeff, I don't do any of that, right? I mean, I'm just the number 1 action analyst in the country. I sit beside Anthony Pepe and John Rich, and I entertain people. That's what I do, and I do it quite well. Now, you're talking about the hockey team. That loss, and I went through it as a player. I lost to Michigan in the 1998 national championship game, actually in our hometown in Boston. And that loss stays with you. There's an old adage for players. It's the wins sting more than the losses sting more than the wins. Like you feel high at the wins. So I remember the losses more than I do the wins. And so for these players on the BC team, that loss to Denver, that's going to motivate them every day they wake up this season, because to your point, right, they were favorite going into that game. I know Pepe had big money on it, and I have to apologize, because before the game, Pepe said, I should probably take Denver here and, protect myself. I said, don't do it, buddy. We're all in. There's no way we can lose. Of course, you know what happened. But I think, one of the things that, a guy like Ryan Leonard, who I think is one of the best players in the country this year, who is a sophomore, he came back. That's what drives him. He comes back. They want to do kind of repeat what they did last year. You mentioned it's tough to do, right? It's tough to get back there. Everybody understands that. But there's also things that they didn't do last year. They didn't win a bean pot last year, right? So I think that's something that might drive this group to be like, hey, we're going to not only we're going to try and get back to where that last year's team was, but we're going to try and win the bean pot. We're going to check these boxes before we get there. So as a competitor, you always have to challenge yourself every day. You know that the season's going to be long. Hockey East is one of the best leagues in the country. That's going to be a dogfight every weekend. But iron sharpens iron. You know that you're playing a good team like Maine this weekend, you're going to be better. So when you face those teams like Denver in the postseason, you'll be ready.
And if I remember correctly, I don't remember what I had for breakfast, but I think I remember correctly. I thought it was almost the perfect storm in the bean pot for BU. I think you had just waxed them, one or two games, and you know, it was going to be tough again. That should have been the championship game, of course. But if I remember correctly, you played them in the first weekend. Is that correct? You played them in the first game, BC?
Yeah, you're not as foolish as you look, because if you remember, BC and BU played 3 out of the back-to-back games in like 2 weeks, because the scheduling was they played a home series in late January, and then they played first round in the Bean Pot. So BC actually swept the Hockey East series, and then BU was able to upset them in the first round of the Bean Pot and go in and win it. But yeah, that's kind of the scheduling. You don't make the schedule. You don't worry about the referees. You just play the game.
Before we transition to the Bruins here, give us the temperature in the Hockey East. You say you're going to be playing Maine this weekend. I know BU is right up near the top, or preseason they were. How has the season gone so far in the Hockey East, Andy?
Hockey East is off to an okay start. I think that a lot of college hockey, college hockey is not like college football or college basketball, where the postseason is done by a committee or all this stuff. College hockey is done by the pairwise ranking. So you can go on. I don't know if they're up already, but you can see the pairwise rankings, and what 16 teams are going to be in the NCAA tournament. There's no debate. There's no arguing like, oh, well, this team played that. They did this. They did that. It's a percentage thing, and you're in and you're out. So that's important, because Hockey East, they didn't have the best kind of run up to the regular season, because you play your out of season games. For example, BC played Michigan State, which is Big Ten. They played Western Michigan, which is NCHC, and then they played St. Cloud twice, which is NCHC. So they split the Michigan State series Big Ten, and then they swept the NCHC series. So that's really good for Boston College in the league. But there's other non-league games or Hockey East teams that didn't do so well against out-of-conference teams, which doesn't lend itself well to Hockey East, as they go through that pairwise. And I know that's confusing for a person like yourself, but I assure you that's correct. But as we head into the season, there are teams that are playing well. Maine's one of them. There's Vermont, who has struggled over the last couple of years, has gotten off to a better start than they have over the past couple of years. You mentioned Boston University is going to be there. Providence is a team that's going to be there. So there's quite a bit of depth in Hockey East. Once again, it's one of the top teams in the country, and I expect it to be right there in the end again.
My header for today's show, we had Andrew McInnis on to start breaking down some NHL games. You and I text back and forth yesterday is, how hot is Jim Montgomery's seat? And you and I, in a little texting badger, I mean, you go after Marchand in the first 10 days, and now you're benching Pasternak. And you did have back-to-back great games, 2 wins, not against the greatest, couple shutouts. We've been waiting for that. What the hell's going on with Monty? Does he want to get fired?
Well, you got to pick your battles, right? So to me, I think Jim Montgomery is a coach that is, that's all he has left, right? And let me be totally candid. I don't think the front office did him any favors. I don't think the Boston Bruins front office had the best offseason. If you look at the forwards, how they're constructed, we talked about this when you had me on last time. There's not a lot of guys up front that can fill the net. It's really just Pasternak, and he's hot or cold. I thought what they did in the back end is they got a lot of size, but they got away from the guys that were, jumping in the play and adding offense from the back line. So that's been a struggle. And then you added the soap opera of Swayman not signing, going all the way into kind of the regular season. And then he starts, like Jeremy Swayman, I had somebody say like, oh, well, he hasn't earned his money. If you look right now, the numbers of Swayman, I think his save percentage is close to low 900s. And he's only allowing like over a goal a game. Like that should be enough, but they're not scoring goals. So with Montgomery, yeah, you got to go right at your big guns. I mean, I think there's 2 things. One, it is an act of a desperate coach, but I think that Montgomery knows that these guys can handle it. These guys have been challenged in the past. I don't think, the Bruins are playing the Maple Leafs tonight. If this happened in Toronto, there'd be all sorts of blow-ups on the side in the locker room. You'd lose the locker room and everything like that. I don't think that's going to happen in Boston. They look like they've responded quite well. I think it'll be a good test tonight. I think the Maple Leafs are, notoriously slow starting team, front loaded, and the Bruins have played well defensively. They just have to score goals. So I think Montgomery is the temperature is turned up on him, but maybe he can skate through this and they'll find a way to score goals.
And as we were talking with Andrew prior to you coming on, the numbers really started moving. He thinks Austin Matthews is out. Overnight number,
Yes.
Toronto was minus 150, down to 120 with a 5.5. So we're assuming Austin Matthews out. And go back to Montgomery for a second, because Cassidy was fired because he was too hard on the kids. That was the word in the locker room. He was too hard on the kids. He goes to Vegas. We know he wins a cup. Montgomery's doing the exact opposite. Hey, I'm going to take it easy on the kids. I'm going after the seasoned veterans, the top dogs here, Marchand and Pasternak here. Do you think there is a method to his madness here? Hey, I ain't going to mess with the kids. I'm going right after the iron here.
100%, 1,000%, right? If you're a coach that's coming in, why did I get this job? Well, the prior guy was kind of coddling the older guys, didn't want to ruffle feathers with the older guys in the locker room, and really was trying to drive the younger guys. That didn't work. They didn't like it. So he's out, right? It wasn't about his coaching ability, because that guy's, won a cup with Las Vegas. So now I'm here. Am I going to attack the younger guys who really don't have the credibility or kind of the steadiness that an older guy does, that a Marchand or a Pasternak does? Yeah, I'm going to go at them, knowing in the background, like, hey, you're going to be in the lineup. You're going to do this. Now, they're still juggling lines. The young guys are still in and out of the lineup. That was one of the things with Bruce Cassidy, is when you attack the third or fourth line guy, it doesn't matter what they're doing, right? They could be in the lineup or out of the lineup. It matters what the stars are doing. Right? They're the ones getting paid the big bucks. So they should be able to take it. And I agree with Jim Montgomery going at Pasternak and everything. Now, the flip side of that coin is you need those guys. You need those guys to perform, right? If Pasternak goes cold the next 4 or 5 games, I don't think Montgomery's going to be on the bench when he scores his next goal. So it is a delicate situation. But yes, to your point, Jim Montgomery's, he's a smart guy. He read the tea leaves. I'm not going to attack the young guys who are a little bit, kind of cautious, and we want them playing free will. I'll go at the older guys who have been through this before, who can take it, should be able to take it and respond.
And I always say this, the grass isn't always greener. You have to have a plan, and you can't fire the whole team. And so if all of a sudden Cam and Don Sweeney come to the conclusion he's lost the locker room, he's out, who do you got to replace him? Intern? You bringing someone up from Providence? The fact is that technically dead man walking, almost like Alex Cora was for the Red Sox. Final year of your contract, you usually go to management in that off season before the season starts. Hey, remember me? I'm in the last year. Can you give me an extension? Cora got his at the All-Star break. Andy, if you had Biff's Almanac or a crystal ball, and you came on, let's say, a month from now, what do you see in that crystal ball?
First of all, I love the Biff's Almanac Back to the Future reference. That's terrific. I don't think that Jim Montgomery's here. I think that the way that this team is set up, it doesn't look great. I don't think that they're a playoff team. And even with all the money that you spend with Swayman, I just don't think there's enough talent there. I really don't. I think the Bruins, they're a team that's kind of fought and clawed to be there, and then they have, they fall in the postseason. But this year they've just lost too much. They haven't replenished it. And I think to your point earlier, you can't fire 22 guys. It has to be one. So I don't think Montgomery makes it through the season in a contract year. And then you look at, it depends if, they have Joe Sacco that's been on the bench for a long time. Joe Sacco was a head coach in Colorado. He's a local guy. So do you go outside the organization? Do you stay inside the organization? I don't know. You probably go with an interim guy and then see how it goes at the end. So it'll be interesting, but I don't think, if I'm reading the tea leaves, I don't think Jim Montgomery makes it through this season.
Got a couple more minutes here with you, Andy. We're getting closer to the quarter pole already of the season. What are your eyes seeing in the East, in the West, the good, bad, and ugly?
Well, I think I'm surprised by Florida's start in the East. Sometimes there's a hangover with the Cup. I think they've gotten off to a pretty good start. They're pretty healthy. We talked about the last time, to go on that Cup run and then come back and crank it up once again. Usually those Cup teams start a little sluggish. I think in the East, what we're seeing, Carolina is off to another good start. I'm surprised that the Canadian teams haven't been better, Montreal and Toronto, right? Because I thought that there was an emphasis on both of those teams to get better. You look at a coach like Martin St. Louis in Montreal, like something's got to give there. They've been bad a long time, right? So I don't know what their expectation is, but I thought that this was a year that they would kind of get off the ground a little bit quicker, but they haven't. So Canadian teams really struggle out of the gate. That's not good. And then in the West, Calgary got off to an unbelievable start. And that was shocking to me. And they've kind of come back to earth a little bit. And then Nashville is another team that they've invested a lot, and they got off to an 0-5 start. So it'll be interesting to see how they respond. They got to get some big guys going. Stamkos, Marchessault, like those guys have to get going. They spend a ton of money in the offseason. And to start the season after you spent the money that they did 0-5 is unacceptable. So there's a lot of teams that are trying to figure it out. Obviously, like the teams like San Jose and Anaheim, just too young. It's going to be a long, long season for them. So it'll be interesting. I think that there's more parity than we thought there would be. Colorado got off to a tough start. I thought they were going to be one of the better teams. Utah got off to a really good start, right? They're in a new market. There's a lot of new energy around that team. They have a lot of young, talented kids. Clayton Keller, a BU guy, is the captain there. So Utah looks like they could be a young and exciting team. So I think it'll be a really fun season in the NHL. I think there'll be a lot of parity. And I think it'll be a really entertaining product. Fun to watch for fans, a lot of offense. And I think we're in for a good season.
13 in a row. Last question for you, Andy. 13 in a row after just a dismal stretch, and we're talking obviously the Edmonton Oilers, who always lacking that goalie, or there's no Grant Fuhr back there to save them. No Coffey. Of course, we got Lord McDavid, and the offense is second to none there. A little sluggish start. Looks like they've kind of got it in form. Are you worried? I'm not saying they're going to got a 13-game winning streak up their sleeve like last year, but when the dust settles here, you kind of think they'll be at the top of the heap out west?
Yeah, again, I think that they have so much talent. I think that if you look at them, unlike Toronto, like Toronto has unproven talent up front. I think that they have some experience. Corey Perry is a huge addition for them. You look at guys like Leon Draisaitl, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, the experience that they got last year. Now McDavid is a little banged up right now; he's out. But I think that they have enough that they'll find their footing. I thought they got enough in goaltending with Skinner. Hopefully, he's able to just kitty bar the door there. Because if they just if they get competent goaltending, they don't need Bobrovsky. Right, they just need competent goaltending, and they'll be right where they need to be, get into the playoffs and make a run, because they have the best balance between forwards and defense. They could bulk up their backside, their backhand, and be more defensive, but they have some D that can jump into play and move it, and then their forwards are just so dynamic. They probably have, outside of Toronto, and maybe Colorado, they have the best forward group in the league. So I expect those guys to produce, and I expect Edmonton to be one of the top teams in the West.
Andy, we can't thank you enough. I'm definitely going to start to bring you on more often. So, make sure you're ready. Wink, wink, wink. I know you're always ready. Pep on his way to Alabama for a food truck festival for Saturday and Sunday. I'll be at the Heights Saturday. It sounds like we might have 70 tents to put up for BC, Syracuse, and football. And you'll be BC hockey and Maine.
BC, big weekend, BC, Maine, and Syracuse. If you're at BC, I'll stay away. You run the ship, and then I'll take over on Sunday when the hockey team comes into town. I'd love to be on the fly on the wall when Anthony Pepe is down in Alabama having a conversation with those people. That'll be interesting, boy.
Andy, thank you so much. We'll catch up soon.
All right, buddy. Thank you.
Take care. one and only Andy Powers, the best in the business. I can't stop smiling when I talk with this gentleman. He is worth the price of admission. So I would say go follow him, but we got nowhere to follow him on social media. He's smart. I'm not. Quick commercial break, and we'll wrap it up. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Jared, hey, we're going to need you to tone it down with the Summer Friday thing, okay?
What are you talking about?
Well, for one, it's not summer anymore.
Oh, really?
Coconut. Also, who is this?
I'm the caddy.
Oh, he's my intern.
Sorry, intern. I'm his intern.
Yeah, he's doing a great job.
No golfing in the office, okay? Summer Fridays are over. You can keep the Hawaiian shirt, but the rest of this stuff, all right? Are you grilling?
Oh, yeah. Did you want a burger or a hot dog?
No, grilling in the office.
It's a good point. We should take this outside.
No, that don't. You put that right back down.
Yo, it's all in the hips.
Oh, dude, come on, we gotta go. Let's go.
Shout out to Andrew McInnis at McInnis Picks at Wager Talk, and of course Andy Powers, BC Hockey, Hockey East. Just enjoy talking with him, catching up some college hockey, some Hockey East. Anyone locally in the city, you can go to SeatGeek for $8-10, and you can go to most of these games. Not the headline games, but whether it's Northeastern, whether it's Harvard, whether it's BU, BC, go check out some college hockey. It is amazing product. No closing bell tonight. Tomorrow at 11 a.m., Brady Kannon. We'll be talking some PGA golf. The golf is back. And Tyler Wyatt at Tyler Wyatt Bets. We'll be talking some college football. And then 5 o'clock, Riley and myself will be back for the closing bell. Again, lastly, guys, today is a big day for our country. Okay? Everyone has the right and the privilege to vote. There's a lot of countries out there. There's a lot of people in our world that don't have that opportunity. Okay? So do yourself a favor. Get out to the polls, vote. You don't have to go to social media and say, I voted for this, I voted for that. Just do your civic duty and vote today. Maybe take a selfie and a snapshot with the little sticker that says, I voted. Yeah, you know. But again, I have no clue who's going to win. Don't get involved in the betting side of this. Trump is high as minus 225. Now it's, almost a pick 'em. 8 years ago today, I was in Vegas, and we went to the Hoover Dam, and then we went to the Grand Canyon. And when I left, Hillary was an easy winner. When I came back, Trump was minus a bazillion, okay? Do not get caught up in the rat race, guys. That's all I'm going to say. So everyone, have a blessed day. Go to the polls, vote, and we'll see you tomorrow. Take care. And a quick shout out to Noah Frank. Noah, thank you so much for getting us set up for today. Shout out to my wife, April. Happy anniversary. We will see you soon.